I was holding a newborn baby in my arms, my wrapper soaked with sweat and fear, while neighbors were shouting outside my gate. The baby was crying hard, my hands were shaking. And everybody kept asking the same thing. Who dropped this child here? Who left this small innocent baby on your veranda? My heart was beating fast, like drum. I did not know if I should cry or run. All I knew was that the little child was so cold and weak, and for one strange moment, I felt like the whole thing was happening to me before in another life. But let me go back to how it started that morning. The sound first came like a small cat crying. I thought it was part of my dream. I rolled on the bed and covered my head with pillow. But the sound came again, sharper this time. A kind of small cry that pulls your chest. I sat up and looked at the window. The sky was still dark with early morning breeze blowing. Chinedu was still sleeping beside me, tired from the long day he had at work. I got up and walked to the door. The cry came again, this time from the veranda. I felt one strange cold pass my body. I wanted to call Chinedu before opening the door, but something inside me pushed me to just open it first. When I pulled the door, the cold morning air slapped me, and then I saw the small bundle on the floor. At first, I thought someone dropped the bag of clothes, but when the wrapper moved, my heart jumped. I knelt down fast. When I opened the wrapper, I saw a newborn baby looking at me with weak eyes, like the child was begging me for help. My hand flew to my mouth. My eyes filled with tears without warning. I shouted for Chinedu. He ran out and almost slipped when he saw what I was holding. We both started shaking. We looked around, checked the compound, checked the gate, checked the road. No sound, no footsteps, no sign of anybody. I carried the baby inside and warmed the small body against my chest. My mind was turning. Why my house? Who would bring a baby here? What kind of person drops a child like this? As I sat on our sofa with the newborn pressed to my chest, something painful inside me woke up, something I thought I buried many years ago. I did not want to remember that old story, but the way this baby was looking at me forced the memory back into my heart like fire. That was the morning everything changed. The baby was still lying on my chest when the first knock came on the gate. It was loud and strong, like someone wanted to break it. Chinedu jumped. I held the baby tighter because I did not know who was outside or what they wanted. The knock came again, faster this time. My heart almost left my body. Chinedu went out to open the gate, and I followed slowly, praying that it was not trouble. It was Mama Oju, our neighbor, with her hair still tied in night scarf. She looked like she ran from her house without thinking. She pushed her way inside and started talking fast. She said she heard a baby crying from our side, and she thought something bad happened. Then she saw the baby in my hands. Her eyes opened wide, and she put her hand on her head like someone who saw ghosts. In less than 10 minutes, 2 more neighbors came, then 3, then 5. Before we even understood what was happening, our small compound was full of people whispering and pointing. Some people said maybe a mad woman dropped the baby. Some said maybe a girl in the street who was hiding pregnancy. Others said maybe something spiritual. Their voices kept rising and falling around me, but none of them was touching me more than the look on that newborn baby's tiny face. A nurse from the next street came with her small torchlight and checked the baby. She said the child was less than a day old. She said the baby was cold. She said we needed to take the child to the clinic fast before something happened. My heart squeezed. I told Chinedu to start the car. As we drove to the clinic, the baby rested on my lap. The street was quiet with only a few hawkers starting their day. I watched the child's small fingers. I watched the slow breathing. I felt a deep pain that was too familiar. It was like someone took a knife and reopened an old wound in my heart. At the clinic, the nurse took the baby inside. As we waited, Chinedu held my hand. He looked worried, but his own fear was nothing compared to what was growing inside me. Every second I sat there, one old memory kept rising like smoke. The hospital smell, the cold room, my small baby girl from many years ago, the one I did not hold long enough, the one I never saw again. When the nurse finally came out and said the baby would be fine, I felt relief, but it did not remove the heavy feeling sitting in my chest. Something was happening again, something that looked too much like the past I tried to forget. And for the first time that morning, I started to wonder if this new baby came to my veranda with a message I was not ready to face. When we returned from the clinic, I thought the matter would calm down, but it only grew bigger. By afternoon, the whole street already knew that someone dropped a newborn at our veranda. People were coming to ask questions. Some were even bringing their own stories. Someone said they saw a young girl walking fast around 4 a.m. Another person said they heard footsteps at midnight. Nobody was sure. Everybody was talking. I felt like the whole world was inside my compound. The women leader of our street came with a small notebook. She said she needed to write down names of anyone who saw something. She asked me how the baby looked when I found the child. She asked if the wrapper looked familiar. She asked if anyone had come to beg me in the past few days. Her voice was calm, but her eyes kept watching me as if she could read my thoughts. The wrapper, that was the first thing that made me feel strange. It was old, faded, and had one small tear at the edge. The pattern looked like something I had seen before, but each time I tried to remember, the picture in my head slipped away like soap. I told myself it was nothing, but my spirit was not at peace. When the crowd started leaving, my cousin Chika walked into the compound. I had not seen her in a long time. She used to live with us many years ago when we were both younger. I was surprised she came. She looked tired, like she did not sleep all night. Something about her face made my heart beat a little faster. She greeted me and asked about the baby. Her eyes moved quickly around the house like she was searching for something. Chinedu came out to meet her and she suddenly looked uncomfortable. She said she only came because she heard the news from someone in the market. She asked if I recognized the wrapper the baby was wearing. I told her no, but when I said it, she blinked in a way that made me look at her longer than normal. After she left, I went inside my room and sat on the bed. I put my hands on my face. My mind kept going back to the wrapper. It kept going back to the look in Chika's eyes. It kept going back to the baby girl I once had but never got to raise. Suddenly, something inside me shifted. A fear I thought I buried long ago stood up again. I remember the night my parents forced me to hand over my own baby to that cousin. They said it was for my future. They said I would thank them later. They said the baby would be safe. But the next morning, they told me the baby died. I cried for days, but nobody listened. Looking at the newborn from the clinic earlier, I felt the same pain, the same emptiness, the same fear that someone somewhere was hiding something from me again. As the sun went down that evening, the house felt too quiet. Even Chinedu noticed I was not myself. I lay down to rest, but sleep refused to come. My heart told me the truth was coming. I did not know what kind of truth it was, but I felt it walking closer to me like footsteps in the dark. And for the first time, I started to fear that the baby on my veranda was not just an abandoned child. the baby was a key to a story I never finished many years ago. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy chest. I did not sleep well. The baby was still at the clinic, and my mind was restless. Chinedu asked if I wanted us to visit the child again, but I told him to give me a little time. Something was troubling me deep inside, and I knew I needed to face it before going anywhere. While I was washing plates in the kitchen, my phone rang. It was the women leader. She said the police wanted to ask us some questions, that they were going around the neighborhood to see if they could find the person who dropped the baby. My heart started beating fast. I did not know why I was afraid. I did not do anything wrong, but I felt like my past was standing beside me, watching me like smoke. By the time the police arrived, some neighbors had gathered again. I was sitting in front of the house with my hands squeezed together. The officer asked calm questions. He wanted to know who came to our house early in the morning. He wanted to know if anyone recently had problem with us. Then he asked a question that made my stomach turn. He asked if the rapper used to carry the baby looked familiar to me. I swallowed hard. I told him I was not sure. I told him I had seen similar patterns before, but I could not place it. He wrote in his book and nodded, but inside my chest, the fear was growing. I knew I was lying. I did not want to lie, but something deep in me was shaking too much to let the truth come out. After the police left, I went into my room and sat on the floor. I brought out my old box, the one I kept hidden under my bed. Inside it were things from my school days, old books, torn notebooks, old photos. I searched until I found a small brown envelope. My hands were shaking as I opened it. Inside the envelope was a small piece of cloth with the same pattern as the wrapper the baby was found in. My eyes widened. My throat went dry. I remembered where it came from. It was from the small baby cloth I bought for my own child many years ago. The same cloth I gave to Chika when my parents said I must hand over the baby to her. The same cloth she carried when she left the house that night. I dropped the cloth like it burnt my hand. I stood up and leaned on the wall. So Chika had been around my baby from long ago. And now she appeared again after another baby was dropped on my veranda. My heart was beating too fast. My legs felt weak. I knew I could not keep this inside anymore. I went straight to Chinedu and told him everything. I told him the wrapper looked like something from my past. I told him about the cloth I found. I told him about the night my parents forced me to give away my baby. I told him I no longer believed my cousin had told me the full truth about what happened that night. He held my hands. He looked scared, but he did not say anything. He knew the story already, but not the part about the wrapper, not this part. When evening came, I could not sit still. I kept walking from one corner of the room to another. I felt like something big was about to break open. And just when I was trying to calm myself, I heard a soft knock on our gate. When I opened it, my cousin Chika was standing there with swollen eyes, like she had been crying all day. She did not say anything. She just looked at me with a face full of guilt. In that moment, I knew the truth I had been fearing was finally ready to come out. Chika entered the house slowly, like she was scared the ground would reject her. I closed the door behind her, and for a moment we just stood there looking at each other. Her eyes were red, her lips shaking, her whole body weak like someone carrying a heavy secret for too long. I felt my legs turn soft. I sat down, and she sat on the chair opposite me. For a long time she did not talk. She kept rubbing her palms together. I could feel something terrible coming. When she finally opened her mouth, her voice was so low I could barely hear her. She said she knew who dropped the baby on my veranda. My heart jumped. I asked her who it was. She looked at the floor and said it was her. The room became hot. My ears felt like they blocked. Chika kept talking, saying she had been hiding her pregnancy for months. She said she did not tell anyone because she was ashamed.
The father of the baby had left her. She had no money. She had no courage. She gave birth alone in the night, shaking and crying, not knowing what to do. She said she carried the baby around like a lost person until she reached our compound. She said she placed the child on the veranda because she believed I would not walk away from a baby the way others once walked away from mine. Her words stabbed me. I asked her why she thought this kind of thing connected to my past, why she believed I was the right place to drop a newborn. And that was when she broke down fully. She said the truth I never heard. She said the baby I gave her many years ago did not die. She said she lied because she was young and scared. She said our parents told her to carry the child away and look for a woman who took unwanted babies. She said she gave my child to a pastor's wife in another town. She said she wanted to tell me the truth so many times, but fear kept her silent. And now this new baby pushed her guilt until she could not hold it again. I felt cold. My hands were shaking. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to run. But a bigger part of me wanted to hear every word she had buried for years. Chika said the pastor's wife was still alive, though very old and sick. She said the woman still remembered taking a baby girl many years ago. She said the baby grew up and was now living in Lagos with another family. My heart started beating fast. My daughter was alive, somewhere in Lagos, walking, breathing, living, not knowing me, not knowing her story, not knowing the truth. Tears rolled down my face. All the pain I carried for years, all the nights I cried in secret, all the guilt I buried inside me came out at once. Chika knelt down in front of me, begging me with her eyes. I wanted to hit her. I wanted to push her away, but I also saw the fear and regret in her face. She had carried the weight of 2 secrets and both had brought her to my door. When Chinedu entered the room, he saw the way I was crying and understood something big had happened. I told him everything. He held me so tight I could barely breathe. The truth was painful, but it was also a door to something I thought I lost forever. The next morning, I went to the clinic to see the newborn baby again. The child was sleeping peacefully with small fingers curled like petals. I touched the tiny hand and felt something warm in my chest. I told myself this baby would never feel abandoned again, not while I was alive, not while breath sat in my body. Before leaving, I stood outside the clinic and brought out my phone. My hand was shaking, but I dialed the number the pastor's wife gave Chika. A young woman's voice answered. My heart almost stopped. I opened my mouth to talk, but no words came out. I tried again. My voice cracked, but I finally said, "Hello." The call was still ringing in my soul long after she replied. The world around me felt different, wider, fuller. 2 babies had come into my life, one from the past, one from the present, and for the first time in many years, I felt hope rising inside me like morning sun.